All right. So one trauma response for people who've been financially traumatized might be avoiding money entirely, avoiding like maybe you get bills, you don't open your bills. You know your credit score is bad, so you don't even look at the credit score. You don't talk about finances because you don't want to talk about how broke you are because maybe it's depressing. Anybody ever gone through that? I've gone through that. I know what it's like to like just be in denial. Like, man, ain't no point in me even thinking about this issue because it's just gonna ruin my day. Number two, this is another one I have. Overworking or hustle obsession. Constantly chasing income with a fear, driven by fear of being broke or repeating past financial struggles. I think that's a big one. Anybody like work extra hard because you don't want to go back to the way things used to be? Almost like a former inmate who says, I ain't going back to jail. I ain't never going back to jail, right? Because being poor is like being in prison. It's terrible. And I'm kind of like that. I've always worked hard. But I'm kind of like a proud workaholic. I kind of like the fact that I work a lot. I don't think it's so bad all the time, but yeah, I see. Ain't none of us perfect. God is still working on all of us. All right. What else? Chronic underspending. Like, so if you're really frugal with money, really extremely careful with money because you don't want to lose it, they say that's a trauma response because you've been traumatized by being broke. Impulse spending or retail therapy. So when you use shopping as a coping mechanism, maybe you spend money because it makes you feel better. I've never really gone through retail therapy per se, but I've seen people that when they start feeling bad, they want to spend money. It's almost like picking up a beer or something. All right, so let's see. Number five, fear of investing. That's a big one. Taking calculated risks. Traumatized people have a really hard time taking risks because you're so scared to death of losing. Risk has at least two components. Either it's like it has the upside, it has the downside. So if you have what we call in finance, we talk about what you call these things called utility functions. So if we can look at it mathematically. So if your utility function is what they call concave, if it's like sloped a certain way, you really are what they call risk averse. Risk averse means that you don't like to take risks. So it means, for example, if you think about that show Deal or No Deal, if you remember on Deal or No Deal, they used risk aversion to do their calculations. And what they would do is they'd say, which would you rather have, a 50-50 chance to win $1 million or $100,000 cash? Right now, if you take point 0.5 times a million, it's 500,000. So a risk neutral person, meaning a person who doesn't care about risk one way or the other, they don't love it, they're not afraid of it. They're gonna make the deal for 500,000. They would take 500,000 because that's the what they call the expected value. That's the average between the two numbers. But a risk averse person will take much less than 500,000 because and the reason they'll take a much lower number on Deal or No Deal is because the fear of loss exceeds the desire for gain, right? And so the shape of the utility function affects how you feel about risk.